Good morning, everyone. This is Rosalind from Good Morning Girls, and from a little R&R. And every morning I jump on here and I share what I have been learning in my Good Morning Girls readings. And even though the Good Morning Girls as a whole is on a break, my ladies here in Croatia decided that they wanted to continue studying the Bible together, and so we decided to go back and do one of the earlier studies from Good Morning Girls in 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and Jude. So that's where we're at, and today's reading is 1 Peter 4. And I was very convicted this morning as I was reading First Peter 4, because 1 Peter 4 is all about suffering for Christ. And as I was reading, it struck me how we as free people, and of course, I'm an American, so we know all about freedom, we know all about our rights, we know all about our religious rights, about our religious freedom. And even here in Croatia, because, here, of course, in Croatia, we also have the freedom to worship God. We have the freedom of religion here. But I was very, very impressed. And I just want to say, first of all, because I jump on Periscope and then I automatically just start talking because I've done a lot of vlogging before, and so I tend to do Periscope like vlogging, and I'm trying to learn not to do that. So welcome everybody who's joining me, by the way. And I saw Christina jumped on here, so welcome, Christina. That's great. I'm so glad to see you. And so I was just very convicted, because I feel like so many times when we begin to experience difficulties in worshiping Christ, such as a really good example is, we're going to be coming up on Christmas in not too long. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. And a lot of people, like a lot of stores, they don't say Merry Christmas anymore. Even other institutions forbid their workers from saying Merry Christmas, and so we feel like our religious rights are being infringed upon, and in a way they are. The recent Supreme Court decision is bringing with it some debate, and there is, of course, the possibility that our religious freedoms could be greatly infringed upon with that decision. And, our first reaction is a knee-jerk reaction of, how dare they? And in a sense, okay, yes, I understand that type of reaction, because it is an infringement upon our religious rights and our religious freedoms. However, Peter was saying that when these things happen, when we suffer for Christ, our reaction needs to be a reaction of feeling honored, because Jesus suffered and we are partaking in that suffering. And I really liked what he said here in verse 16. It says, "Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter." And he was saying above that, he was giving, reasons of, maybe why we shouldn't rejoice, because, sometimes we suffer because of our own sin. He said, "But let none of you suffer as a murderer, as a thief, as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters." And that just kind of made me sit up and be like, oh, a busybody. He equated a busybody in other people's matters with a murderer, thief, and an evildoer, which I thought was rather interesting. Because, we all know busybodies, but, if we're really, really honest, we've all been one at one point or another. And so he was saying, okay, there are some times that you suffer, and that suffering you brought on yourself, but there are other times that we suffer for the name of Christ, and we need to rejoice in that. He said, "Don't think it's strange," this is in verse 12, "concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing has happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. If you are reproached for the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you." And so when we experience these things, not only are we suffering with Jesus Christ, but we are blessed a lot of times we don't think that way. A lot of times we get angry. We get angry at the government. We get angry at our politicians. We get angry at these businesses that don't allow people to say Merry Christmas. We get angry at, different political agendas that are stripping our freedoms from us. But Peter was saying, we are blessed. We are blessed because, you know why? Because Christ suffered. Christ suffered. And if we are going to be partakers with Christ in everything, we have to be partakers with Christ in this as well. And it is an honor to suffer with Christ because we are not above him. We are not better than him. If he suffered, it stands to reason that we should also suffer because we are not above Christ. We are not better than him. We are his servants. And so we should not only consider ourselves blessed, but we should be willing to suffer for the name of Christ. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't stand up for our freedoms. That does not mean that we shouldn't fight for freedom, not only for us, but for the generations that come after us. But what it does mean is that our attitude, our heart attitude should be, even though I'm fighting for this freedom, even though I am paving the way for future generations, I'm considering this an honor and a blessing when I'm suffering for the name of Christ, because I am a partaker with him. I'm his servant. And so this is what I got out of today's readings in 1 Peter 4. And so I pray that it's a blessing for you. Now, I'm going to just take a couple of moments and say, if you have any thoughts or any questions that you want to share, or if you really, if you appreciated this, just let me know. And I also will say that just following this Periscope, I will also be scoping, but I will be scoping in Croatian because I lead groups here in Croatia. And so if you see me jump on again, you'll probably be seeing me jump on speaking in Croatian. And so just a little bit of a forewarning there for all of you maybe who are in different parts of the world, and that might not interest you at all. But anyway, thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day in Jesus Christ.